Welcome back to Adventures in Randomia, my D&D solo adventure series. This is episode 8, in which Freyia and Clarissa discover that they are not alone in the castle in more ways than one. I hope you enjoy, and please do leave me a comment. It's great to read your reactions, questions and suggestions. Last time, our adventurers finally managed to rest following their ordeal. Before leaving the castle, they find the room that is opened by the iron key that they found on the goblin shaman. They discover a room protected by angry wolves. After defeating the wolves, they realise there is a prisoner in a cage. We rejoin our adventurers as this prisoner is revived. The young man in the cage levers himself up into a sitting position and peers out through the bars at the two of them. He is tall and lean, with tousled dark hair. His piercing green eyes are intense and alert, darting around the room with sharp curiosity. His dirty shirt and pants cling to his lithe frame, giving him a ragged, unkempt appearance. Despite his dishevelled state, there is a certain charisma about him that draws the eye, and an air of quiet strength that suggests he is no stranger to adversity. As he sits up, his eyes flicker with a mixture of relief and suspicion. "You're not goblins," he says. "Who the heck are you two?"
"Who the heck are we? Well, I'm Freyia Wildhammer, and this is Clarissa. I reckon we're the ones that are saving you. And who are you?"
"I'm Connor," he says. "Connor O'Fallon. Yeah, thanks, I suppose. I thought you were the goblins finally coming back to give me some water."
"Och no, we cleared all the goblins out yesterday morning."
"Just the two of you took out all those goblins? Well, colour me impressed. They jumped me about a week ago, been rotting in here ever since."
"Oh, it wasn't just us," says Clarissa. "We had help from somebody else accompanying us."
"Oh, right. Where are they then?"
"Oh, he's gone. We lost him during a big battle below the castle."
"Oh," says Connor.
"It's a long story," says Clarissa.
"And what are you doing in this castle?" asks Freyia.
"Well, I heard some rumours about there being treasure here, and I thought I'd come and check it out."
"All alone?" says Clarissa.
"Yeah," says Connor. "Long story."
Says Clarissa, and she squints at him suspiciously. "Are you sure there was no one else with you?"
"Yeah," says Connor. "I think I'd have noticed." And he gives Clarissa a hard look. Any chance of you girls helping me get out of here?" he says. Clarissa winces at the use of the term girls.
"Sure," says Freyia. "Stand back."
And she raises her great axe. No, not necessary," says Connor. "See that chest over there? Goblins put my stuff in there. Get me the small brown leather case and I'll be out of here in a jiffy." Freyia and Clarissa go over to the chest and open it. Inside is the usual adventurer's backpack and a set of crumpled green robes. They find the small leather pack and manage to squeeze it through the bars and pass it to Connor. They watch as he takes two finely shaped pieces of metal from the pack. He inserts them into the lock and deftly moves them around with his fingers, and the lock springs open. Freyia and Clarissa glance at each other.
"Well, that's handy," says Freyia.
I wonder where he learnt to pick locks so easily," murmurs Clarissa.
He steps out of the cage. "Yep, can be useful from time to time." He takes the green robe and shrugs it on over the dirty shirt and pants he is wearing.
"Oh, so you're a wizard then?" says Clarissa.
"Well, of sorts," says Connor.
"If you're a wizard, why couldn't you just magic the lock open and escape sooner?" asks Freyia.
"Well, two reasons. Firstly," and he points around the room, if you hadn't noticed, wolves. They would have done for me. Secondly, I'm not a wizard. I'm a sorcerer. I use my magic for, well, let's just say, interesting things." They all step out into the courtyard, and Connor winces in the bright sunlight. His stomach then growls loudly. "Ooh," he says. "Any chance you've got some food I can have?"
"Oh yes, of course," says Clarissa. "You must be starved."
She rummages in a side pocket and brings out a large lump of chocolate and hands it over to Connor. "Chocolate? Right. Anything more substantial?"
"Tell you what," says Freyia. "Why don't we cook up a nice pot of porridge? We haven't eaten since yesterday morning."
"Porridge?" say Connor and Clarissa together.
"Yes, great stuff. I'll have some cooked up in no time. Could the two of you stoke the fire while I get cooking?"
Clarissa fetches some more branches from the goblin woodpile, and Connor uses a firebolt to blast the wood and get it blazing again quickly.
"Ugh, so you're not averse to using magic to light a fire then?" says Freyia.
Connor laughs. "Yeah, I like fire." And he smiles for the first time. Freyia places a small pot of porridge oats in water over the fire and stirs gently till the oats dissolve into a creamy mash. She then spoons in a small amount of honey and sprinkles in some dried fruit.
We'll have to all eat it from the same pot,
she says, handing out spoons. Hope you don't mind. They all take a spoonful of the steaming porridge.
Says Freyia. Porridge, you can't beat it.
Yeah, not bad, I suppose, says Connor. At least it's filling.
Clarissa wrinkles her nose as she sniffs the gooey, creamy paste. She gets out a large lump of chocolate and drops it in. That's better, she says, as the chocolate dissolves into the porridge, turning it a creamy brown colour.
Clarissa, what is it with you and chocolate?
I don't know. I've just always loved it ever since I first tried it. They all take a short rest while they eat. Freyia regains 19 hit points, and Connor regains 10 hit points back to full health. Once they finish, Freyia wipes out the bowls and spoons and stows them away.
So, girls, where's the loot in this place that I've heard all about? Says Connor.
Clarissa winces again. Please don't call me girl. I'm a tabaxi, she says.
Oh, what should I call you then? Kitty?
No, Clarissa is just fine. We've mostly cleaned out the place now, she says. Much of it is ruined.
Oh, says Freyia, there is that one door we couldn't open. Maybe you could pick the lock.
Show the way then, he says.
They all go over to the ornately carved stone door that they encountered earlier. It still stands obstinately shut in the corner of the courtyard. Connor looks carefully at the carvings on the door.
Just checking for traps, he says.
Oh, you don't need to worry about that. We already disarmed the trap, says Freyia. Well, triggered it.
Connor opens his leather pack and this time pulls out 2 larger lockpicks. He studies the lock for a moment, assessing the ancient mechanism. With deft movements, he slips the picks into the keyhole and begins manipulating them.
Bit more tricky, this one, he says.
So we roll for a thieves' tools check and we get 18. His hands move with practiced ease as he listens for the subtle clicks and turns of the lock. After a few tense moments, there is a satisfying loud click as the lock gives way to Connor's skill. He gives a small grin of triumph.
There you go, he says,
and he stands back.
After you. I'm assuming you're the tank, Freyia, and that Clarissa is the healer?
Well, Clarissa is way more than just a healer, says Freyia. You'll want to watch out. She has some very powerful damaging spells.
Yes, and Freyia is much more than just a tank. Clarissa pauses. She's a really good cook too. So we roll on the room table to discover what lays behind this door. We roll a 3, so this is a 10-foot square room with 2 exits. Freyia gently pushes on the door, and they hear the sound of heavy rasping noises from inside the room. As they enter, the air in the room is thick and musty, and the smell of damp earth and decay fills their nostrils. The darkness inside the room is almost complete, and they can barely make out the shape of objects inside. We roll on the room contents table and discover that there is a medium encounter in this room. Connor casts dancing lights. 4 glowing orbs of light appear and fly up to hover just below the ceiling. The lights emit a soft glow, casting shadows on the walls of the room and illuminating the area around them.
What are you doing, Connor? Says Freyia.
Just trying to shed some light on the matter.
It is immediately obvious that they are not alone. In the confined space of the small room, a large hulking shape, flanked by 2 smaller ones, stands right in front of them. They've encountered a trio of zombies.
Oh, not zombies, says Freyia. And there's a big one too.
The large ogre zombie is a grotesque sight to behold, standing at over 8 feet tall and weighing at least twice as much as a human. Its bloated, decayed body is covered with rotting flesh and exposed bones, its yellow teeth bared in a menacing snarl. Its eyes glow with an eerie blue light, hinting at some sort of power animating the corpse. The smaller 2 zombies are of average human size, but are just as grotesque and decayed, with lifeless eyes and dull expressions. They shuffle forward with slow, jerky movements, their arms outstretched as if to grab the adventurers. The stench of decay and rot fills the air around them, making it hard to breathe. So we roll for initiative. Freyia gets 21, Clarissa 16, Connor 10, and the zombies 4. Freyia takes the initiative. She steps towards the ogre and goes into a rage. Her eyes widen with ferocity as she grits her teeth and lets out a fierce battle cry. Her hands grip tightly around the handle of her axe, ready to unleash its deadly power upon her undead foes. With a fierce shout, she brings down her great axe with all her might, striking the ogre on the shoulder. The blow lands with a sickening crunch, and the ogre lets out a deep guttural groan as it staggers backwards. Despite her less than perfect swing, Freyya's strength is enough to deal a solid blow to the creature's decaying flesh. Clarissa then casts Radiance of the Dawn. As she channels her divine energy, a brilliant light radiates from her body and expands outward, illuminating the room with a warm golden glow. This blasts the zombies, causing them to hiss and recoil from its brilliance. The two smaller zombies are hit full force, their flesh sizzling and crackling as they take the full brunt of the radiant energy. The ogre zombie manages to dodge some of the damage, but still its putrid flesh sears and blisters from the intensity of the attack. The air is filled with the smell of burning flesh, and the zombies writhe and snarl in pain. Clarissa then raises her holy symbol and speaks a prayer, invoking the divine protection of her deity. A faint shimmering aura surrounds Freyia. As the spell takes effect, Freyya's armour hardens, giving her a better chance to withstand incoming attacks. Connor channels his magic and uses the firebolt cantrip. As he unleashes the spell, a bolt of flames shoots out from his hand and hits one of the smaller zombies, igniting it in fire. He then expends a sorcery point, giving him a second cast of the firebolt spell. This time he hits the other zombie with the same fiery blast. Both zombies now burn with intense flames. Suddenly, uncontrollable wild magic courses through Connor, creating an unpredictable magical effect. Immediately, a cloud of brightly coloured butterflies and flower petals flutter in the air around them.
What the heck?
Shouts Freyia.
Oh, sorry, these things happen from time to time.
The ogre swings its morning star at Freyia with all its might, but the flitting butterflies distract it, and the weapon crashes harmlessly into the wall. The ogre roars with frustration.
Well, it's not all bad then, it seems, says Freyia.
The two smaller zombies lurch forward, their decaying arms flailing as they swipe at Freyia. However, their attacks are clumsy and slow, and Freyia easily dodges out of the way, her increased armour and reflexes proving too much for the undead creatures. Freyia swings her great axe again with all her might, striking the ogre zombie with a loud thud. The impact causes the ogre to stumble back, its body reverberating with pain as the blade cuts deep into its flesh. Despite its massive size and strength, the ogre is unable to withstand Freyya's attack. Clarissa calls upon her divine powers and casts Spiritual Weapon. Radiant energy coalesces into the form of a golden glowing cat's paw hovering just above the zombies. With a quick command, the paw swoops down towards the nearest zombie, its claw extending to strike with deadly force. The zombie staggers back. It tries to resist the attack, but the damage is too much for it, and it falls to the ground lifeless, its undead fortitude finally broken. Connor casts Magic Missile. He extends his hand and releases 3 magical darts of energy, which shoot towards the enemy. The first 2 hit the ogre, causing it to stagger under the force of the impact. The last missile flies straight towards the remaining zombie, hitting it with a burst of energy and causing it to collapse to the ground. However, as it falls, the zombie uses its undead fortitude to cling to a last shred of life, its eyes gleaming with an unnatural light as it fights to stay animated. The zombie ogre slams its morning star at Freyia again, but the shimmering shield around her deflects its attack. The smaller zombie clumsily flails again at Freyia, but its attack glances harmlessly off her armour. Freyia roars in fury and brings down her great axe on the ogre with a powerful swing. The axe bites deep into the undead flesh. The ogre reels from the attack, clearly feeling the weight of the blow. Clarissa casts Sacred Flame. A bright flame descends from the heavens and engulfs the remaining zombie. Despite its feeble attempt to dodge the attack, the radiant flame scorches its undead body, finally overcoming its fortitude and extinguishing its unholy existence. The golden glowing cat's paw then darts towards the ogre. The paw lashes out, striking the ogre's arm with a burst of radiant energy, leaving a sizzling golden aura in its wake. Connor then raises his hand and casts Witch Bolt. A crackling beam of blue-white energy streaks towards the ogre, striking it in the chest. The lightning-like bolt surges through the creature's body, causing it to convulse as the electricity courses through it. He again experiences a surge of wild magic. This time he regains his expended sorcery point.
Well, that's handy, says Connor.
The ogre lifts its morning star high above its head and brings it crashing down onto Freyya's shoulder with a sickening thud. Despite her best efforts to block or dodge, the force of the blow still manages to connect, sending a wave of pain through her body as she staggers backwards. Fortunately, her rage halves the damage. With all her might, Freyia swings her great axe, sinking it deep into the ogre's leg. It lets out a guttural roar of pain as it struggles to stay on its feet, clearly very wounded now. Clarissa casts Sacred Flame at the ogre zombie, but as it starts to sway from its injuries, the dancing flames just miss it. The golden cat's paw too fails to make its mark, and it harmlessly swipes through the air. Connor channels the energy again for his Witch Bolt spell. A crackling bolt of lightning surges from his outstretched hand and strikes the ogre directly in the chest. smell of burning flesh and hair fills the air. The ogre tries to resist with its undead fortitude, but the strength of the spell is too much for it. With a final burst of blue-white light, the spell dissipates, leaving the lifeless body of the ogre slumped on the ground. The power of this spell causes unpredictable magic to surge again through Connor. He burps, and bright pink bubbles float out of his mouth. Connor silently swears as the pink bubbles continue to emerge from his mouth, blocking his speech. Freyia guffaws at him. What the heck is happening to you, Connor? Even Clarissa cracks a rare smile. While Connor tries to regain control of his voice, Freyia and Clarissa look round the room for loot. The room contents table suggested a chance for loot, a secret door, or a clue. We roll and discover that there is a secret door in this room. As Freyia searches around the room, there's a loud click as she steps on a pressure plate close to the wall. The stone in the wall moves slightly. Hey, Clarissa! I think there's some sort of door here. Come and help me open it. Connor suddenly starts waving his arms at them and tries to shout, but this only sends yet more pink bubbles up into the air. What's that you're saying, Connor? Says Freyia. Clarissa peers at Connor. I think he's trying to say the word romance. Romance, says Freyia. You are cute, Connor, but this is neither the time or the place. He shakes his head in frustration and points at the zombies, mouthing the word again. Now that's just disgusting, Connor, says Freyia. Connor stamps his feet in frustration as another big cloud of bubbles emerges from him. And there we will leave our adventurers, with Freyia and Clarissa trying to open the secret door, whilst Connor is desperately trying to tell them something. Tune in again next time to discover what lies in the room beyond the secret door.